Hi, Donald here with Floating Feathers Kayak Fly Fishing School with another tips and tricks. And this tips and tricks is on scupper carts. Actually, this tips and tricks is on do not use scupper carts unless the manufacturer of your kayak states that it is okay for you to use a scupper cart in their kayaks. And usually if they do recommend or allow you to use scupper carts, they will recommend their kayak scupper cart only. The reason for this is most manufacturers, most kayak manufacturers come with some type of hull warranty or kayak warranty. Most of them will not cover any damages done due to your kayak being on a scupper cart. Okay? And the reason for this is the science, or whatever you want to call it, the physics behind a scupper or scupper hole, as they're called. But a scupper, right, if you can watch my videos on scuppers and scupper plugs, you know what a scupper is. If not, I'm going to give you a real quick definition. A scupper is just a structural support within the kayak on a sit-on top that allows the water that gets on top of the kayak to drain to the bottom of the kayak so that your kayak does not fill with water. That being said, that structural support is designed for vertical pressure, right? It's designed to support the kayak this way, okay? And a kayak cart, yes, does insert through the hole. That is absolutely correct. But what happens is that kayak is pulled across, that kayak cart is moving and twisting and churning. Your pressure is no longer here. That shaft coming up through their scupper from the posts on your scupper cart are actually causing horizontal movement. And those scuppers, which are kind of like hollow pillars or hollow columns, if you will, are not designed to support horizontal structural movement. They are structurally sound vertically. They are not structurally sound horizontal. Therefore, the most common thing you hear is that scuppers are the weakest point on a kayak. That's somewhat kind of true. They are weakest because if you use a scupper cart, that's where it's going to break, because there is force applied in the direction opposite of which this scupper is designed for. Remember, a scupper is designed for vertical pressure up and down, and a scupper cart applies pressure horizontal. That is not designed for that. And a scupper will crack, break, plastic around it will move, and things will happen, and it will be a terrible, terrible situation. I know this from experience. I had an ocean kayak. I used a scupper cart on it, was moving the kayaks across the beach. I hit a soft little spot in the sand. The sand kind of gave way a little bit where there was a runoff. The kayak cart dropped down in the little valley there, if you will. That wheel stuck. The cart flipped over. Everything fell out of the kayaks. That's one headache. But I put everything back in the kayak, started to roll it, didn't see any damage. Put the kayaks in the truck, still didn't see any damage. I went to go kayaking the next day, and what happened when that kayak cart turned and flipped everything over, the kayak cart post actually broke the plastic or the resin on that scupper halfway up. So it was probably an 8-inch or 6-inch, 8-inch scupper inside that ocean kayak. When that scupper cart flipped over, because the one wheel stopped and the other churned, it caused the kayak to come down. And it broke a perfect circle in the middle of that column, if you will. I didn't notice it. It was very hard to see because it didn't knock it out. It just poked a hole, and when the scupper cart came back out, the resin just kind of folded back. So it was kind of like a doggy door, if you will. It just kind of folded back, and it just looked like it was stressed, but didn't look like it was broke. Next day when I went kayaking with some friends, buddy has the same model I did at the time. We were paddling out. I noticed my kayak was getting lower and lower in the water. Could not figure out why it was so hard to paddle and why they were leaving me in the dust. And then I looked across about 15 minutes, and the water level was about level with my gunnels, and I knew I was in trouble. So I hollered at him. We paddled back as fast as we could, and I say that like I paddled fast. There's no way to paddle fast. What happened is my hull had filled with water. My entire hull of that kayak, a 16-foot kayak, was full of water. Now, I still stayed afloat, thankfully, okay? However, if it wasn't for that scupper cart, poking a hole. And I would never had that issue. I'd probably still have that kayak today. Anyway, that is the lesson I learned the hard way from a Scupper cart. Like I said, most manufacturers aren't gonna cover any damages done by that Scupper cart anyway. And the reason I just told you from my experience is one of the reasons why. Because it is not designed for horizontal support. It is structurally sound for vertical support only. And a cart, even though it goes up vertically, doesn't support it vertically. It supports it because it's twisting and churning and going this way. And every time it goes this way, your kayak is either sitting still and the shaft is moving on that, the posts are moving on that cart, or the cart is moving and your kayak is standing still. Either one, they're not moving at the same rate and same motion. So that kayak cart, that Scupper cart, will most likely cause damage to those scuppers on your kayak. So this tips and tricks: don't use a Scupper cart unless your kayak manufacturer says it's okay to do so. All right, there's a frog. It is rainy season here, so we got frogs a little bit. That is the tips and tricks for this one. I appreciate everybody watching. And just so you know, what carts do I use? Because I know that question is going to be in the comments below. I'm going to show you the two carts I use real quick. This is from Suspends. It's a Suspends all-terrain, heavy-duty, airless cart. This cart I can use to haul 3 to 5 kayaks at one time. Now, if you only have one kayak, obviously you can still use the cart. I use that kayak. I have a short on my YouTube channel here that you can look to see how I use that cart, and it works exceptionally well on everything except soft sand. Pardon me. Had to quiet down the frog. On soft sand, that does not work because the bicycle tires will just kind of dig into the sand. Now, if you're in extremely soft sand, I use a cart. I recommend a cart with sand balloon tires. Balloon tires on soft sand is going to save you so many headaches. It's absolutely ridiculous. So those are the two kind of carts. This, by the way, this is also from Suspends. It's their deluxe balloon cart. They also have a DLX balloon deep V cart. So look at your hull of your kayak. You may need the deep V. And by all means, a deep V will still hold any of the kayaks. So those are the two carts I use. I recommend something like that. A lot of people use the Wilderness cart. The Wilderness Systems cart is a great cart, and you can swap out the regular tires for these the sand tires, and it works extremely well in both situations. And you only have to buy one cart; you just have to buy an extra set of tires. But if you're in an area that doesn't have soft sand, you don't need to worry about swapping out tires, and you don't need two carts. You can get by with one. Or if you're only going in soft sand, same thing. So that's my thing on Scupper carts, and I gave you a little bonus there on what carts I use to get my kayaks to the water. All right, thank you all for watching. Donald here with Floating Feathers Kayak Fly Fishing School. Please tune in every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central for more tips and tricks on kayaking, fly fishing, and kayak fly fishing. Until next time, tight lines and safe paddles.